This is Reverend Dr. Raymond Rivera, and this is the Nabi, a prophetic pastoral network. Today I'm going to be speaking on the Nehemiah Approach for community development. We are called not only to minister to individual lives, but to our communities. So how do we develop our communities from a biblical perspective? The book of Nehemiah gives us some lessons that I would like to share with you through this reflection. Number one, it calls us to engage the community. And as we engage the community, we receive inquiries and we receive from members of the community. The Bible says in Nehemiah 1:2 that Hananiah, one of my brothers, came with certain men from Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews who escaped, who had survived the exile, and concerning Jerusalem. So here was an inquiry from a community member that I asked. I asked about how the community was doing, how my people were doing. And he responds to me because I engaged him. And sometimes we live in a vacuum. We live isolated from our communities. We were in a safe place at this time. Nehemiah was in the palace, and he was not part of that community that was oppressed, part of that community that was suffering. But he still was concerned. He still had not forgotten his people, even though he was in a place, we can say, of upward mobility, a place of security, a place of stability. He did not forget his community that was in a very difficult situation. As we engage and inquire, the community will respond. And they said to me, verse 3, chapter 1, the remnant there in the province who has survived the exile is in great trouble and shame. The walls of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates are destroyed by fire. So the report that he got back from the community, back from that member who was living it experientially, that had gone through this situation, was not a positive one. As we engage the community, sometimes the reports we'll get back will not be positive. This community had gone through destruction. It had gone through oppression. It was living a situation of captivity. And the report that he gets as he engages is the gates have been destroyed by fire. The walls are broken down. Those that have survived are in great trouble and shame. Things are in bad shape. Things are in difficult. We have to be prepared that when we engage the community, the situation that we may find will be difficult. In Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 4 and 6, we have a sense of accountability from those of us that are called to do community development, from those of us that are called to minister. Listen to Nehemiah's words. As soon as I heard these words, I sat down and wept and mourned for days and continued fasting and praying before the God of heaven. And I said to him, let your ear be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer of your servant, that I now pray day and night for the people of Israel, your servants, confessing the sins of the people of Israel, which we have sinned against you, even I and my father's house. So he felt accountable for the situation. The situation was a result of the consequences of actions that they had taken. They had continuously been disobedient against God. And he says, now I am praying and fasting and seeking you, and I'm confessing the sins of my people. But he didn't exclude himself. He said, even I and my father's house have sinned. Sometimes we confess, but we blame it on other people, but we don't include ourselves. He included himself. Not only were the people were accountable, he was accountable. He was inconsistent. There was individual, but there was also collective responsibility. And finally, in this first lesson of engaging the community, he casts a vision After praying and fasting, the king, seeing his cupbearer, which was like a chief of staff in the palace, then the king said to me, what are you requesting? So I prayed to the God of Abraham, and I said to the king, if it please the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, that you may send me to Judah, so the city of my father's graves, that I may rebuild it. So here, Nehemiah, after praying and seeking the Lord, and the king asking him what does he want, he casts a vision. He says, if I found favor, if you have seen in me the ability to grant me my desires, I pray that you may let me go back to my city. And here's the vision, so that I may rebuild it. So his vision was to rebuild the city of his forefathers. So as he engaged the community, he found reports from individual community members. He also inquired about their situation. He felt accountable. He took part of the collective responsibility of the situation that they were in, and he also cast a vision that he wanted to go back to rebuild the city of his forefathers. He still felt a connection. Even though he had been gone, he loved his people. Even if they were in a situation of oppression and captivity, he wanted to go back. God calls us to go back to the places that we've left and that sometimes we're disconnected from, but our passion or even our compassion must be to those places that we are part of, and not just because we're in a better situation should we forget them. The second thing that we find in this Nehemiah approach of community development is that he connected to a network. So we have to do networking if we're going to do community development. We have to involve stakeholders, people that have a stake in the situation that we're trying to develop. Listen to Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 3. I said to the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my face be sad when the city, the place of my father's graves, lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire? So he tells him that he wants to meet, if it please the king, I want to go to the city and rebuild it, and give me a letter so that I can also connect to the people on the way, that I may get and acquire resources. Listen in chapter 2, verse 8, and a letter was given to me for the keeper of the forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the fortress of the temple, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall occupy. And the king granted me what I asked, for the good hand of God was upon me. So he networked with the king. He networked and cast a vision with the stakeholders. And he also acquired resources through this networking process. He got timber for the rebuilding of the city. So if you want to engage the community, pastor, spiritual leader in the church, if you want to engage the community, you not only have to engage it, but you have to network within it so you can acquire the resources that you need for the vision that God has given to you. The third thing that we need to do is we need to gauge. And sometimes by gauging, what I mean is that we have to survey the situation. We can't just go in there and hear reports, verbal or written. No, we have to personally go and see what's wrong with the situation. We have to experience it firsthand. Listen to Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. So I went to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I arose in the night, I and a few men with me, and I told no one what God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. There was no animal with me, and the officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing. I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, and the rest who were to do the work. So here Nehemiah says, I went to Jerusalem, and for 3 days he was surveying the situation personally. He was looking at it. It was not enough to hear about it. It was not enough to read about it. Sometimes we are only into reports and stories, but we have to experience. If we want to do community development, we have to go into the community ourselves and look at it for ourselves and concretely get involved. And finally, not only are we to engage the community, not only are we to network to acquire the resources and involve the stakeholders, involve those people that are going to be influenced and actually that are going to be affected by the vision and the changes that we're trying to bring into existence. So again, not only are we to engage and network, but we're also to gauge the situation. We're see it for ourselves, look at it for ourselves, and finally we are to act. So we just can't look and survey and understand the situations, but we have to act in the final analysis. Then I said to them, this is chapter 2, verses 17 and 18, you see the trouble we're in, how Jerusalem lies in ruins with its gates burned. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem that we may no longer suffer. And I told them of the hand of God had been upon me, and also of the words that the king had spoken to me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for good work. So Nehemiah acted on the vision. He organized the people. He established connections with the people. He told them, look, we shouldn't be in this situation. Let us rise and build. And we can't do this by ourselves. We have to go into the community, look for the leaders in the church, look for the leaders in the community, transfer the vision to them. Tell them, look, I've come here to build, but I can't do it by myself. Let us rise and build together. We have to act on the vision. Sometimes you have a vision, but you haven't acted on it. Sometimes you have a vision, but you haven't inquired the necessary information for it. Sometimes you have a vision, but you haven't networked enough. Sometimes you haven't engaged the situation. You haven't looked at it. You haven't gotten involved with indigenous leaders so they may rise up. And those that are gifted begin to rebuild the community. And in all of this, we need to seek God's prayers and God's guidance so that we will be successful. After we begin to build, there's going to be certain challenges that we are going to face. But the community, if it has the vision, will rebuild the city, the community, the neighborhood that God has called them to. In this occasion, the mission was complete the walls in 52 days. And when they did this, the people praised God and worshiped God. And God was able to support them in the vision that Nehemiah had transferred to them. This is Reverend Dr. Raymond Rivera, and this is the Nabi, a pastoral prophetic network.